Morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us this morning. We'll get started just so we can be respectful of your time. And I will hand over first to Frank.
Hi. So for those, I think I know most people, but not everyone. So my name is Frank Place. I'm the director of the Policies, Institutions, and Markets CGIAR Research Program, or we call CRPs in our lingo. And I'm very happy to welcome you all to this workshop on political economy for improved policy analysis and implementation in the CGIAR. For those of you who are not aware, our PIM program each year has set aside a considerable amount of funds actually to help strengthen capacity, social science capacity within the CGIAR. A couple years ago, we had a nice event with SPIA, the Standing Panel on Impact Assessment in Nairobi, where we sponsor a lot of participation and presentations there. And then we also last year in 2018 we sponsored participation for a side event at the International AgriCon meetings in Vancouver. And those two were both really wound up benefiting the economists in the system more than other disciplines. So this year, we made a conscious effort to broaden our horizons, and we helped to contribute participation in the Seeds of Change Gender Conference in Canberra this year, and at the International Association of the Study of Commons meeting in Peru for a number of other social sciences. And here we have our third investment, which is on political economy. So we're very happy to do that, and I'm happy to see all of you here. So political economy issues are increasingly important for the CGIAR, which aims to contribute to very lofty development targets. If you've seen our strategy and results framework, we are hoping to lift people from poverty, have massive increases in productivity, help to restore lands that are degraded, et cetera, at scale. And all of those, if we were to contribute to those, would require policy change along the way. So that's really kind of at the forefront. And so those of you in the CGIAR, we have done our reports through these CRPs last year, and in 2018, collectively from the 12 different CGIAR research programs and the platforms, there were 105 contributions towards policies that were reported in the system at various levels. Some is just that we've got it in the policy mix, but there's been some that there's evidence that our research helped support decisions that led to policy change, actually. So 105 of those were reported. PIM had 25 of those because, well, as you might expect, we do a lot of policy research, but that still leaves a lot left for, for other CRPs in the system. So it was quite a large number. And in addition, as witnessed by your attendance here and the interests of others who couldn't come because we couldn't accommodate, the timing didn't work out for everyone who really wanted to come as well. That we have many scientists in the system who are integrating political economy into their research designs. Although it might not be a large number, it's not insignificant either, as we can see from this gathering here. So if I take PIM as an example, in terms of our engagement in policy processes, we have a lot of different types of engagements. We have situations where research teams are well embedded into policymaking processes and which have strong demand-driven elements in addition. As well as we have situations where we have just frequent or infrequent visitors to countries who are still struggling to figure out how to engage in policy processes and develop the partnerships that might help those to be more successful. Some of that work is supported by good political economy research, but that's a minority, I think, to be honest. We don't really have just the large numbers of people with skills to do that. And I presume this is the situation that this variation is replicated throughout the system. And then I think the other thing I wanted to say is that, to my knowledge, much of these efforts are really independent of one another. So these 105 situations where the CG has contributed to policy processes that are largely independent of one another. For example, if I look through them, there are several contributions to policies in 2018 reported by multiple different CRPs in countries such as Ethiopia, Kenya, Uganda, India, the Philippines. And there's several others also which have multiple engagements from the CGIAR. So one could have various interpretations about that information from 2018. Does that 105, is that significant, a significant contribution from a system like the CGI, or is it a fairly weak contribution? It's hard, the devil's a bit in the details. But regardless of how we might interpret that, I think it's always useful for us to reflect on what our comparative advantages are in terms of influencing policy and what our future priorities should be as a system. And I think this workshop gives us a chance to do that and try to look forward, and in particular in a number of important thematic areas that we have on the agenda. So Danielle will, in a minute, present the specific objectives of the workshop. But what I'm looking forward to mostly is to understand whether there are opportunities for strengthened collaboration from those in the room and across the system, and then what PIM can do to help facilitate that.
And at the outset, I want to thank Frank, who's been very supportive of political economy research at IFPRI and within the CG, which is not easy because we know a lot of our donors want to see clear impact, which is difficult to do sometimes with political economy research. The intention of this workshop is really built out of an expressed demand by many of our colleagues throughout the CG system, noting that we should be doing more political economy research. There's a lot of policy issues that we have trouble getting traction on because there are political economy barriers. But as Frank already alluded to, we're kind of scattered across the system, and many of us are not aware of the political economy work that we're doing in different thematic areas, whether it's seed system, ag extension, land tenure, trade, whatever it might be. So the main reason for bringing us together is I had heard from many of you in the room and others who unfortunately couldn't make it, that they wanted some gathering of this, where we could come together, parse through some of the work that we're doing, and find some methods, tools that might be useful for projects we have in mind but haven't quite gotten off the ground yet.